Oh, it's that wonderful time of the year, my friends. Game of Thrones has returned with its long-awaited Season 6, and last night's episode was pretty good, and it served to catch us up on what has happened since the Season 5 finale. It's likely been a week or two since then, and we caught up with almost all our characters, minus some who will get screen time next week. This episode was... it was good. I liked it, but I did notice it was probably one of the shortest premieres we've ever gotten, clocking in at around 49 minutes without the intro. And personally, I never understood why they never opened the seasons with an hour and 30-minute premiere. They definitely could have given us an extra 30 minutes to catch up with Bran, introduce us to the Iron Island plot, and update us on Peter Baelish, among other characters. Hopefully the shortened episode is just because they're saving their good stuff for later. Now without my rambling, let's get on to the review. First, let's start with the Night's Watch scenes. We'd open up at Castle Black minutes after Jon is stabbed with Braavos and the others running to get him inside. I was wondering if the traitors of the Watch had gotten to Jon's supporters and friends, like Ed, but they didn't. I was also wrong about the pink letter being sent there, thinking Ramsay was behind the orders to stab Jon, but they actually did it because Jon's an asshole who let the wildlings through the gate. Because Thorne didn't go with Jon to Hardhome, he didn't see the reason why the wildlings are needed. As much as I think Alliser Thorne is a dick, I love the speech he gave because you can feel the hatred that he and the other brothers have for the century-long conflict between the two groups, Wildlings and Night's Watch. Thorne firmly believes that the Wildlings will destroy them all, and in a way I can't blame him for thinking that. They have a giant for fuck's sake, and he's been in this fight longer than Jon Snow has been alive. Thorne was originally a Targaryen supporter, and when they were overthrown, he was given a choice: lose his head or the Night's Watch. He's been doing this longer, and you can assume he's lost a lot of friends. Also, keep in mind that time is never given in the show, but it's estimated to be around 2 to 3 years since Jon Snow joined the Night's Watch. Thorne thinks Jon is young and naive, but I also fault Jon for this betrayal. Had he taken Thorne with him, they would have seen what he saw, and yes, there are other Night's Watch people who could have opened the gate. So Jon's supporters are guarding his body with Ghost at his side, and Davos gets the idea to have Ed go out and get some of the Wildlings to help. Eventually, Melisandre comes in and she sees his body, and you can just look at how depressed she is over it. She sees something in Jon, and maybe has plans for him too. It really does add to the idea that he is the son of the dragon, and Melisandre probably senses it. The main thing to take away from this episode has to do with Melisandre and what happened to her when she took off the necklace. Now, in my previous video, I talk about how when she takes it off, she became an old woman. So either three things are possible here. She either has eternal youth, immortality, or magic. It did seem like she uses potions to help keep her appearance youthful, but I wonder how they'll explain it. In the past, they've rarely explained how her powers work in detail, so I wonder if that'll happen this season. And like I said before, we've seen Melisandre without her necklace in Season 4, Episode 7, when Stannis' wife Selyse walks in. Someone in the comments section made a great point about how the reason they could give for this is that Selyse was such a devout follower of the Lord of Light that she couldn't see past the wall of illusions Melisandre has put up. To Selyse, Melisandre appears to be a beautiful and charming woman, but to everybody else who's not deeply devoted, she's an old woman, and when she takes off that necklace, you can see it. But yeah, the scenes at the Night's Watch were great. I didn't expect Jon to be resurrected the first episode, but I did like what I saw. Owen Teale, who plays Alliser Thorne, was amazing this time around, and I enjoyed his performance with Davos. The Castle Black scenes, they did exactly what they needed to keep us guessing and wanting more. I have no complaints here, and I hope they keep it up. Next up, we have the stuff going on with House Bolton and Sansa's escape, which I would argue is one of the best moments in this episode. We see that Miranda did in fact die, and that Ramsay's a little sad that he lost her. Kind of. Then he tells the Maester to feed her body to the hounds, because, you know, when you think Ramsay is being a nice guy, he just proves to you how much of a dick he really is. The one thing I really liked about the Roose and Ramsay scene is how calm and collective Roose is about the situation. He knows that regardless of whether his son is able to produce an heir or not, it doesn't really matter. Some people believe that Ramsay will kill his father and his stepmother by the end of it, and if that were to happen, it would really come as a shock to me. Roose has always been that one guy you know has shit figured out. He isn't a player like Peter Baelish, but he places his bets carefully, and that's what makes him a strong and feared character. And over with Theon and Sansa, we get some good stuff going. They run away from the Bolton men only to get caught early on and are stayed by Brienne and Podrick. Everybody kept getting teary-eyed over Brienne swearing her loyalty to Sansa, and how that harkens back to when she did it for Catelyn, and I did like the similarities. The one thing I'm wondering about now is, how will Theon be received by the other Northern Lords? We've seen in the trailer that Sansa does eventually find refuge when we see her wearing those clothes, but I wonder if Theon will be with her, or will they just let him go, but to never come back? but that he eventually is caught by the Boltons again. I think the one final act of cruelty left for him is to be one of the people Ramsay burns towards the battle in the north. He's done his job. He's rescued Sansa and gotten her to safety. What else is there for the character to do? Where else is there for him to go? Yara told the other Ironborn that her brother is dead in Season 4, and I doubt she'll come back for him. Theon has made his mistakes and redeemed himself, all the same, so I'm thinking he's a goner this season. As for Brienne and Podrick, we see that they don't stay in the north for very long because they do manage to find their way to the Riverlands again. My guess is that Sansa orders Brienne to head down there to recruit the Blackfish to her side to maybe help in the war against the Boltons. But I will say the stuff in the north was great this episode. I love Sansa and Brienne. It was a beautiful scene, and not just the acting, but the snow falling around them and Podrick helping her along. It was a great scene. I absolutely loved it. Next up, we have the shitstorm brewing in King's Landing. I'd say this and the Arya stuff was really uneventful and a little disappointing. While I get that they're setting things up for the next episode, I feel like they could have given us some extra time to really feel out the situation since last season. Jaime finally comes back and Cersei's world just crumbles, and you can see that in her expression. I liked it. I did like the conversation between them too, and how she explains to Jaime the Maggie the Frog prophecy. I didn't think she'd ever do that in the show, but I am wondering about the Valonqar part of the prophecy, and why the show has left that out. Unless Cersei plans to reveal that later on, it may not happen, which is a shame because it does have a lot of mystery and a Shakespearean element to it. Jaime trying to talk some sense into her was also pretty cool, but I really wish we got to see him interact with Trystane, and even Bronn for that matter. They skipped over one of the most hyped moments this season, the awkward boat ride to King's Landing after Marcella's death. I wanted to see if Bronn was going to hold him down while Jaime beat him with a sock full of pennies. It would have been interesting, but of course we need more pointless Martell scenes. Oh, and no, I won't be going over the Marjorie stuff because nothing really happened there. So let's just get through this before I vomit all over my keyboard again. Okay, So the Dorne stuff was just terrible, and we all knew that going in. To me, Dorne feels like the moment when you're a child and you have to take that medicine that tastes like garbage. You don't want to take it, but you kind of have to get it over with so we can all move on. Yeah, this is basically what that was. Not only that, but let's talk about the worst scene and most idiotic character I've ever seen. Trystane. Holy shit, how much cock do you have to suck to be this dumb? Two people want to kill you, and you turn your back on one of them? Look, I'm not a seasoned warrior, but even I know that when you're up against two people who want to take you out, you don't turn your back on one of them. The fuck, man? Not only that, but Arya Hoda, what the hell, man? You let bad pussy kill you? Look, if she stabbed you in the neck or the back of the head, that's one thing, but you're a big muscular guy. How the fuck did she kill you so quickly? None of this makes any sense. And you know what really pisses me off even more? The showrunner said a week ago that after Season 6, they only have 13 episodes left of material. You would have had more if you didn't kill these fucking characters and actually stuck to their book plot lines. This is such a big cop-out, and we all know what's going on. Dorne sucked so much last season that they had to conclude it as quickly as possible while making it as shitty as possible. Oh, and before I move on, let me just ask, how the hell did the other two crab snakes get on the boat so quickly? Trystane went with Jaime to King's Landing, and we see him there painting the eyes on the rocks for Marcella's funeral, and then those two show up. Okay, but at the end of Season 5, we saw them all standing at the harbor of the Water Gardens, watching the ship depart. There is no way they could have reached the ship that quickly in such a short amount of time. This is why I think it's been a week since Season 5, because it takes a while to travel, and Cersei's hair grew out a bit. But at the same time, Jon's body is still there like 10 minutes after he was stabbed. They've really done a shit job of making time a consistent thing here, and it's just confusing all around. Before I get annoyed again, let's move on to Essos, and in Meereen we see the dynamic duo back again, the Abbott and Costello of Game of Thrones. Tyrion and Varys. I love these two, and I love their little one-liners they throw at each other. Once again, not much going on here, but we do see that the Lord of Light religion is making its way into Meereen, and it won't be long until we get the other Red Priestess. I'm waiting for that to happen, mainly because I want to see how Varys handles this situation. Keep in mind that Varys hates anything to do with magic, and will go a great lengths to make sure those people won't have their way. It seems that the Lord of Light's religion is kind of supporting Dany, and I wonder if they'll also oppose the Harpies. And speaking of the Harpies, let me reinforce my theory here that Daario is the leader of them. First off, who else is there that could possibly take orders from? In the books, it's more of a mystery because there are a million characters to choose from, but in the show, he seems like the only option here. Varys said that they were well organized, which means they're taking orders from someone who knows strategy and ambush tactics. Personally, I think it is him, simply because there is no one left to put the blame on. That's just my take, though. Now, I'm gonna skip Daario and Jorah mainly because there wasn't much going on with them, but let's move on to Dany, and I gotta say, her scenes have gotten a lot better. Maybe it's because she's taken off her high horse, or she's interacting with people that don't take her shit, but it was just a fun scene. Watching her interact with Cal Morro was really interesting, and I loved how he says, "Seeing a beautiful woman naked for the first time is the best thing." And then his buddies throw in a couple of good things too, and he's like, okay, it's one of the 5 best things. You know, it's almost like a SNL comedy skit. I loved it. But did anybody notice how Emilia Clarke's contract was also on screen? Anybody? Like how he was about to rip off her clothes, and then he realizes she's not allowed to do nudity anymore? It was such a slap in the face, too, and it didn't break immersion, but I just thought it was funny how they handled it. And before anybody in the comments section bitches about this, I'm not saying Emilia Clarke needs to get naked 24/7, but what I am saying is this: she was for the first 3 seasons, and then suddenly it stops. That's fine, but if you're in bed with your lover and you want us to believe you had sex with him, you wouldn't cover yourself up like that the entire time. I just find it a little immersion breaking from time to time. When a situation calls for it, like an intimate scene with her man, she covers up. Once again, I'm not saying she has to do it every scene, but in certain situations where it would be appropriate, like a love scene or if she's covered in fire, then yeah, I would expect to see that. So you can all calm down now. But overall, the Dany stuff was pretty great, and I really enjoyed them. I'm gonna call it now, though. They get to Vostok, and she eventually is found by Jorah and Daario, and they have to sneak her out, Mission Impossible style, but soon they get discovered, and then Drogon comes and saves them. That's what I think is gonna happen, but hey, I've been wrong before. And last but not least, we have Arya, and not much was going on, but it did serve a purpose. She's still blind from the last season because she wasn't ready to become no one, and she put on a face, which acts like poison to someone who hasn't shed their identity. You need to become, in a sense, a nobody to tackle on the big jobs. Now that Arya is blind, she's been reduced to being a beggar in the streets of Braavos. Eventually, the waif comes and starts beating her with a stick. Now, I'm sure some of you thought it was mean-spirited of her to do that, but it's really all a part of Arya's training. It's like one of those sensei teachings you see in kung fu movies, where they say stuff like, "In order to truly see, you must be blind," which I really like. Arya got her butt handed to her this time, but it's all a matter of listening and feeling out your opponent's next move. I don't know, maybe I'm watching too much Daredevil, but to me, it seems like by the end of this season, Arya will definitely be stronger, and maybe awaken her warging powers. She may be blind, but she can still use that to her advantage. Overall, this episode was pretty good, but it left me wanting more, and not in a, "oh my god, that was awesome" kind of way. We didn't get much, and that's really disappointing, especially for a show that has only 10 episodes and a lot of characters. I would have liked a longer premiere for every season so we can fully catch up with all the characters and not just half of them. The first episode should really be used as a way to set up the season and then start it off on episode 2 instead of taking 1 and 2 to set everything up. Not only that, but it was incredibly short, and it would probably be the worst episode this season simply by how little they gave us in this year's opening. Castle Black, Sansa's escape, and Dany's interactions with the Dothraki were all good stuff this episode, and the only downside was how bad House Martell was. Marjorie, Daario, and some of the stuff in Meereen was kind of pointless, but I felt that they were only there just to hold us over and remind us of where these characters are before we go forward. Arya's scenes were okay, and I didn't expect much out of her in the first episode, but I do hope that changes in the next 3. But in the end, the episode was good. I just wish they'd filled it with more material to keep me wanting more for episode 2 and not waste it with the Martell stuff, which amounted to nothing and wasted perfectly good characters and actors. This was the weakest premiere we've ever gotten, and I hope they saved all their best stuff for the second half. And before I end the video, I want to start doing this new thing in all my reviews for Season 6, and that is to put the spotlight on some of the most talented fans in the community. Whether it be an artist or a YouTube channel, I want to put them out there simply because I think they're awesome. And today we have Miss Lauren and her beautiful charcoal paintings. You guys know me and how much I appreciate talented artists, and I absolutely love this. If you like what you see, head on over to her Etsy page and get your own one-of-a-kind copy. I'll leave a link in the description below. And as always, let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.